Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, I do believe we are officially live. So with that said, good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Chicagoland Speedway, where today we are just hours away from race number 12 of the NOS Energy Cup Series. But before we get to that point, we got to figure out not only our 6 drivers that will make up the 42 car field, but we'll set the starting lineup for tonight's Tropicana 400. As always, I'm Elijah Leonard, bringing you the action here from Chicagoland. Do want to wait just 1 second because there is one other thing I forgot to do. There we go. I do believe everything might be muted. Hold on, just give me 1 second. I think my sounds might be a little bit off. There we go. That must explain it. Let's explain why I couldn't hear anything through the at least through the game. But now here we go. We got it taken care of, and now I can hear the engines for myself. I don't know if you guys could hear them, but I definitely couldn't. Want to make sure that we were good to go, and that is the case. Joshua Cornish was the first one out on the racetrack. He is the first one to lay down a lap time, 29.772 to start us off here in our 15-minute session. Martin Nixon, who won the Coke 600 just last Saturday night. He is out on track and now on the clock. And we'll be putting down his lap here very shortly. A 29.763 for Jordan Sumner. Cornish, or not Cornish, rather. But Cornish is at a 4.96. And Martin Nixon at a 29.789 to start off his run. Michael DeFeo just up ahead. Jordan Sumner, top of the board with a 4.30. In the number 89 machine. There's Eric Blaze in the number 26. Blaze has been on an absolute tear over in the Xfinity Series side, just really rallying back and trying to get as many points as he possibly can to get inside of the top 10 in points over in the Xfinity Series. And as far as Cup, he's been racing like he's got nothing left to lose. He took home a top 5 or top 10 finish at Charlotte in the 600 last Saturday. So Eric Blaze has definitely been on a roll here for Death Rider Racing, not just here in Cup, but also in the Xfinity Series. And in points, it's definitely shown. And as you saw in the full race premiere for the Xfinity Series not too long ago, you would have seen Eric Blaze take home a 3rd place finish. So far here in this session, here today, a 393. So far that has secured him inside of the top 6. And as soon as I say that, he gets put on the bubble spot pretty much immediately. Michael DeFeo, top of the board, 29.276, with Martin Nixon in tow with a 302. Then Liam Davis third with a 335. So they are first, second, and third right now as you see Martin Nixon aboard and come to pit road in the number 2 machine. But Michael DeFeo, we'll see him in a couple weeks when we go to Michigan on June 18th. But so far, he is in pretty good shape to advance into tonight's 12th race of the season. Eric Blaze on the bubble, though. And just on the outside looking in, that is Bruno Giacomo with a 29.417. Everyone else is in the 2 to 3 tenths of a second bracket. And now Diacomo jumps up into the top 6 at 3:57. That'll put Cornish on the bubble. And now Eric Blaze on the outside looking in. Nikki Fox 8th with a 4:29, a 4:77 for both Michael Davis and Ray Atikian. And then you go to 11th all the way down to 14th. Haley Kuris, she finished 23rd in last night's Xfinity race. She currently holds on to a 5:01. And then a 5:04 for Ryan Gandillo, a 5:06 for Josiah Munsell, and then a 5:11 for Samit Oskin. So far, things not looking too great. Things not looking the greatest so far for Samit Oskin, and obviously anybody else below the top 6. But definitely, it's definitely not a good session if you're below the top 10. I'd say that that is for certain. Ryan Gandillo, who has made the last several NOS Energy Cup races as of recently, his string might come to an end here tonight if he's not able to pick it up. That 5:04 definitely is going to take him straight to the infield, and he will have to prepare for Michigan in 2 weeks' time. Your top 6 remains untouched as we are approaching the halfway mark of this session. DeFeo still on top of the leaderboard with a 29,276. Martin Nixon with a 3:02. Liam Davis with a 3:35, a 3:53 for Jordan Sumner, a 3:57 for Bruno Diacomo, and a 3:59 for Joshua Cornish in the number 8 machine. And big news for him, I don't know if we revealed this during our broadcast back at Charlotte or even Texas World, but it was announced that in 2027, we are going to see Joshua Cornish back in full-time NOS Energy Cup Series action. Of course, the team will also be getting a full-on makeover. And there will be more news on the way as to what the status of EGI is going to look like heading into 2027. And I'm going to say this, ladies and gentlemen, it is going to be a very interesting 2027 at that. And a whole different look, at least for the most part, a different look for EGI almost altogether. But so far here in this session, a 3:59 for Cornish, still holding on to that final transfer spot to get in. Eric Blaze, touched on him a few moments ago. He's on the outside looking in with a 3:93. Still looking for a pretty good opportunity to try to pick things up. Another thing that we are going to be doing here from here on out when it comes to final round qualifying with tracks above 1 mile is we are going to have obviously the 3 rounds, but the catch is the final round will no longer be 10 minutes. It will now be 5 minutes. So the rest of these drivers, whoever makes the top 12, they are not going to have a lot of time to get out onto the racetrack and lay down the quickest time that they possibly can. So they will really need to strap in and really focus on that final round, should they make it that far. And you see Michael DeFeo in that number 60. We just watched him for that last half lap. He just reeled in Eric Blaze And I think he might be on new tires, but regardless of that, you just saw the closing rate that DeFeo had on Eric Blaze, and he just goes right on by him. Just made very light work of the number 26, and that's honestly very impressive at that. And look at him, he's just pulling away. That number 60, I don't know exactly what they did to DeFeo's car, but it is bad fast. With less than 5 minutes remaining, I would have to say for Eric Blaze, he might have to come to pit road and get some new tires on that car, because I think if that's the difference maker, who knows? And maybe even the draft on top of that might also be another difference maker too, because some drivers definitely were able to improve their lap times just by being in a draft of any kind. So we could see that even right here with Cornish and Curris. Coming up on 4 minutes remaining. Let's see if Cornish, he might be able to get a draft off of the 9 of Haley Curris, maybe to try to see if he can improve his time here. They come off turn number 4, heading back to the start finish line. He's got a small whiff of the draft off of Curris's machine, but I don't believe he's close enough to really make anything happen. There's Ray Atikian in the 45. Atikian has just been on a roll in the Xfinity Series. Of course, 2 back-to-back wins and a runner-up finish at Charlotte last weekend over in the Xfinity Series. And I believe he took home a top... well, regardless of that, I think he might have taken home a decent finish at that. Actually, no. He took home a top 20. Although not really the result that he was looking for. It was enough to boost him into the 300 points bracket. That's the highest points lead that we've seen in any division so far. Tanner Parton, who comes into this race as the points leader, I believe he has 287 points to his name. And then our points leader, Michael Davis, in the Truck Series, I think his points lead is probably about ranging closer to around 150, maybe a little bit more than that. We'll have to confirm once we get down to our qualifying sessions here, which will start within the next 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Atikian just pulls up to the back bumper of Josiah Munsell, pretty much like that, and definitely on those new tires. A 29.429 for the 45 of Ray Atikian. See what things are going to look like for him heading across the stripe. Not quicker, but still possibly could be within range of getting into that top 6. We've seen it before where late in the session, there's always a chance where somebody outside of the top 6 could just come out of nowhere and break in, probably right around, and maybe get up to around maybe top of the board, maybe second or third, and that'd be enough to obviously get them in, knock somebody else out. So far, Cornish is just holding his breath and hoping and praying that nobody, and I mean nobody, gets inside of the top 6. As you see Michael DeFeo make light work out of the 9 of Haley Curris, and now starting to pull away from the Domino's machine. Less than 1 minute to go, closing in on 30 seconds left. And as of right now, Curse 12th with a 5:01, and she definitely will not be making the show with that time. So far, 0.2 of a second off. You also got Michael Davis coming up. Even Martin Nixon, I think even Ray, that's a Nikki Fox back there. So far, 8th quickest for Fox, but not going to be enough to get her in with less than 30 seconds remaining. And I'm thinking times might have, we had some extended time. I'm thinking we might have had some extended time, but not too sure. We'll find out once we cross the line right here. I believe that might be the case. So, with that said, I believe maybe not. I think times might be official. And if they are, Michael DeFeo, Martin Nixon, Liam Davis, Jordan Sumner, Bruno Diacomo, and Joshua Cornish will all be racing in tonight's Tropicana 400 from here at Chicagoland. And as of course, they are indeed official. Eric Blaze just missing out by 0.04 of a second. Still cannot deny that that Blaze has been absolutely oh so strong as of in the recent weeks, and he's definitely been carrying that momentum over here to the Cup side. But he'll have to sit this one out and get ready for Michigan in just a couple of weeks, as will Nikki Fox, Ray Atikian, Michael Davis, Ryan Gondillo, Haley Curris, Josiah Munsell, and Samet Oskin. Well, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations to our top 6 of DeFeo, Nixon, Davis, Sumner, Diacomo, and Cornish. They will all be racing in tonight's 12th race of the season for the NOS Energy Cup Series. And when we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we'll get the field set up and we'll get ready to set the starting lineup for tonight's Tropicana 400. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, officially we are back, and now it is time to set the starting lineup for tonight's Tropicana 400. You'll see the action at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time live on Twitch. We'll be sure to bring it up again when we get to that point. First car out on the racetrack is going to be the number 13 of Mercedes Davis. Didn't have the best of runs at Charlotte, unfortunately. Wound up causing a wreck coming off of turn number 4 that took out several great contenders like Nathan Stapleton, even our points leader Tanner Parton got caught up, Steven Walker. So several drivers that got caught up in a wreck that Mercedes Davis had, whether it had probably inadvertently caused. But Davis looking to put that behind her and focus here on this weekend here at Chicagoland. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, we are no longer using the double points format. Since the month of May has passed, we've gone back to our normal points format, where with 1 point for leading a lap, 5 for leading the most laps, 10 for winning the race, along with any of the traditional points, like 40 points for finishing in first, 35 for second, 34th for third, and so on until you get to 36th on down, which would all get 1 point. To start us off, Mercedes Davis with a 29.854. Claire Phillips is going to follow that up with an 851. But these times will get better. 4/10 by at least 4 to 5 tenths of a second, maybe even 6. We saw that with Michael DeFeo earlier in the knockout session with a 29.276. That's what locked him into the show here for tonight. Russell Blaze, a 5.24 for him, but that's going to change rather quickly as many drivers are going to really shake up this top 10. Hell, even the top 24 at that, because remember, the fastest 24 move on into our second 10-minute round, and then we go down to our third round, which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, has changed. It will now be 5 minutes for our third and final round. And this only applies for tracks above 1 mile. Road courses will also apply to this because they use a 2-round format. And that track and road courses are also above 2 miles, above 1 mile at that. Unless if you wanted to take Arena Cafe Norte into consideration. Travis Crampton, top of the board. And Michael DeFeo pretty much repeating what he did in the knockout session, a 29.297. Not as fast, but still quick enough to get him into round number 2. Tanner Parton up to second, 29.356 for him. Crampton to third. Trying to look for Travis Crampton. In car number 61, I have a feeling I might have passed him. Because chances are he's probably running the Performance Plus colors. And there he is, actually. I didn't even notice that he went to pit road, but there's Travis Crampton. He debuted these colors at Texas World and actually gave the Performance Plus colors a pretty good run up until in the later stages, where he wound up getting caught up in pit road calamity and had to take home at least a top 15 finish. But regardless of that, Crampton ready to go for this weekend so far. Immediately got knocked out of the top 10. Currently 11th with a 29.363. And Alex Sanvitali, fastest time of the day, a 29.242 for the Prime machine. And Skep Silver pretty much replicating what DeFeo did time-wise with that 29.276. The driver holding on to that final transfer spot is Roberto Crown Jr. and Martin Nixon, our Coca-Cola 600 winner, on the outside looking in. Almost halfway through this first 10-minute round. And this is pretty much a small little preview of what we're going to see here for tonight. If you didn't watch our Xfinity race last Friday night, or even the full race premiere today, then you would have noticed that the high line was the preferred way to go in order to make passes. As you can see there, Sanvitali trying to put that outside line to use, going around the high side with Val Moscow on the bottom. And then CG Holt just up ahead with Terry Walker in the 48. So far for the both of them, CG is 27th and Terry is 33rd. So they will both be pretty much eliminated from contention of pretty much winning the pole. And they would have to start in the positions that they are currently in as of right now. That's as far as if there is no improvement between now and the next 4 minutes. And whatever extra time gets added in the process. Further in the back, there's Abby Walker in the 16. Walker has just not had a great season whatsoever. She started off the year great. Had a runner-up finish to Aaron Abel's teammate, Skylar Taylor, at Minnesota, almost nabbing her first win of the 2026 season. Unfortunately, just was not able to follow that up, and she had been falling and falling and falling down the points bracket, and she currently comes in second to last in the point standings right now for her here today in this session. She would be in good hands to move on to round 2. So far with a 29-4-19 for the M&M's Krispies machine. And there are the McGuire Motorsports teammates, Bobby McGuire and Janiah Hill. McGuire, as of right now, he holds on to a... Ooh, that's not good. Actually, I did not even realize that I had... Oh, man, I didn't have 36. So whichever cars were pretty much already well into this round. So whatever cars, whoever was not here, they will be starting in the back. I do genuinely apologize for that here, ladies and gentlemen. That... I really need to do a better job at least paying attention. I did not do that here for today, but nonetheless... The drivers that would move on in the top 24 as of right now, and then the dozen and then some that would have to start in the positions that they are starting in. Pretty much from 25th down to 36th, and then plus the other 6, unfortunately, I missed out on. They would have to start in the positions that they are starting in, but it's for everybody else. They would be in good hands to move on. So far, Janiah Hill, 18th on the board, 29.4 for her. And then as for Bobby McGuire, again, that 35th position, 29.559 in that 35th position. He would be starting pretty well in the back. There's Wyatt Walker in the 19. You know, and I have to say for Wyatt, he started on the pole position, or at least front row for the Coca-Cola 600. And he, man, I tell you what, he was ready to go back-to-back in the Coca-Cola 600. And he was racing for the lead with Andrew Ramsey. Josiah Munsell made a 3 wide. And just calamity struck, and Wyatt Walker was in the path. Was in harm's way. He managed to finish the race, but unfortunately not the way that he would have hoped for. And of course, Abby Walker, Terry Walker, they got involved, and their days got set back quite a ways. And CG Holt also got collected. So Wyatt, of course, definitely really wanting to put Charlotte behind him and focus on Chicagoland. As of right now, he is 16th on the board, 29,382. So he's in good hands to move on to round 2. As for his teammates, Abby Walker, 22nd, CG Holt, 29th, and 33rd for Terry Walker. Times indeed are finalized, so it is official. Your top 24 is going to be Sam Vitale, Skep Silver, Val Mosco, Michael DeFeo. Also, Andrew Ramsey, Rogel Dorn, Ryan Davis, the 22, Alex Bonsignor, Crampton, and then Quentin Moore would round out your top 10, and then it's Skylar Taylor, Parton, Trinity Anderson, Russell Blaze, Cornish, Wyatt Walker, Zachary Taylor, and then the rest of the top 24 that move on would be Kyle Craven, Janiah Hill, Sebastian Vaughn, Martin Nixon, Abby Walker, Ryan Little, and Claire Phillips. They will move on to our second round here tonight. And then from 25th all the way down to 42nd, or in this case 36th, because I genuinely forgot to change the number of cars on the track from 36 to 42. These are the positions that they'll be starting in, and then from 37th to 42nd we'll be starting in numerical order. But with that said, ladies and gentlemen, big congratulations to our top 24 for making it to round number 2. So when we come back from our break, we'll have the 24 cars on the racetrack to figure out who will be the fastest 12 going for the pole for tonight's Tropicana 400. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that took us a little bit longer than usual, but we're back, and this time it is to get ready for round number 2 of qualifying for race 12 of the WRLA NOS Energy Cup Series. This is to figure out our fastest 12 that will go for the pole in our 5-minute round number 3. We've yet to see somebody break out. So it was from 89 all the way down to 99 as far as our car numbers were concerned. So none of the NS Racing cars, unfortunately, were able to qualify. And neither were Bruno Diacomo and also Jordan Sumner because of my error. And they will be credited with the starting positions that they will have from 37th down to 42nd. And again, big major apologies on my end for not including any of the drivers here in this session. That, I mean, again, that is just a complete error on my end. But in the meantime, starting us off, Janiah Hill, Skylar Taylor, Sebastian Vaughn, they're in a draft as we begin our second round with these 24 cars on the racetrack. Hill, who comes into this race 31st in the point standings, really wanting to turn things around and try to get back into a consistent lingo. But it's going to be a lot harder now because we're not using that double points format that would have proven to be absolutely crucial for somebody like Janiah Hill, for instance, or even Kyle Craven, our defending champion of the series. He comes in 32nd in points. He did pick up a couple spots, but just was not enough to get him back into the top 30. Right in front of him is his boss, Russell Blaze. He is 3rd in points, and now he is on the clock. Skylar Taylor with a 29.510 for them. Points leader Tanner Parton on the bottom left-hand side of your screen. Now right there on your screen. He just came out onto the racetrack, getting up to speed, with Russell Blaze going around the outside. And Russell Blaze, 30.043, so got slowed down just a little bit from Tanner Parton, who was just getting up to speed. As the field comes off of turn 4, heading back to the start-finish line now. San Vitale, now Ryan Davis, 29.384 for him. And see if we can find Ryan Davis. Actually, no, he was a part of this pack. Wow, I completely went a whole lap and didn't even see this big red machine. Ryan Davis, currently on top of the board with a 384, not as quick as what we saw with Alex San Vitale with a 242. So it will be a little bit more difficult to see these guys pull off the times that we saw because there's obviously fewer cars on the racetrack, so it's a little bit harder to find the draft, if you will, that would definitely assist you in trying to get a faster time than obviously what Ryan Davis has right now, which he did improve just a couple of laps ago with a 328. Roel Dorn with a 381, 1/1000th of a second back is Claire Phillips with a 382. Claire Phillips definitely finding some speed here as we're at the halfway mark of our NOS Energy Cup Series season. Currently comes in 18th in the point standing. So that month of May really helped Claire Phillips definitely get some momentum on her side, and now she might be in a good position to possibly maybe get into the top 15 if things go her way here tonight. Maybe we could see her in victory lane. She's yet to win a NOS Energy Cup Series race, and it could happen here tonight. Ryan Davis goes to pit road. Still on top of the board with that 328. So, and as of right now, Russell Blaze with his 503 holds on to the final transfer spot just by 5/1000ths of a second over Tanner Parton with a 508. And he's also tied with Andrew Ramsey. Definitely has broken that tie by at least a few millionths of a second. Two of the Death Rider racing cars, nose to tail. Kyle Craven, so far 8th quickest, with a 442. And if anything, this would definitely be something that Blaze would want. He'd want to better his chances of a Death Rider racing car winning the pole here for tonight. And he might get it. He possibly might get it, but we'll just have to wait and see exactly how that goes. Bonsignor just up ahead. So far for him, he is at a 29.601. So definitely a very, very slow time there for Bonsignor, and he would have to settle for a 22nd starting position in car number 22. Wyatt Walker, you can see him with a 29.567. And I promise I'm not memeing when I say that. You can obviously see on the ticker on the top right-hand side of your screen, things kind of looking grim for Wyatt Walker's qualifying run. Starting just outside of the top 20, just about mid-pack for the Eris machine. Two and a half minutes remaining. You know, there's still a chance. Now, Wyatt could definitely find some extra speed out of this car and maybe catapult him into the top 6. If not, try to get himself the best possible starting position that you can get out of this round, obviously, which would be 13th if he wasn't to make it. But as of right now, hasn't been able to keep up with Ryan Davis, who's just pulled away from him. And now he's caught up to the back end of Michael DeFeo heading into turn 1. Not going to be able to get that pass done there. He's all over the back bumper of the Morton building machine. Here goes Ryan Davis down to the inside. This is actually kind of interesting because we saw the top side really work to perfection in last night's Xfinity race, and if things kind of go the way they are, and if they go just the way that Ryan Davis if things go the way that Ryan Davis kind of hoped for in that pass, then definitely the bottom side could be the way to go here tonight. Less than 1 minute remaining, and Ryan Davis is going to aboard and come to pit road. So far, Russell Blaze holds on to that final transfer spot. And Tanner Parton, our points leader, on the outside looking in. Travis Crampton with the 04 of Quentin Moore. He's 21st now with a 29.544. But Crampton in the 11th spot. He's in pretty good hands to possibly make his way into our final round here for tonight. 29 seconds have been added. That way these drivers have enough time to put down one more good lap. But ladies and gentlemen, I think it might be official here. So with that said, your top 12 that will be contending for the pole in our 5-minute round number 3 will be Ryan Davis, Rogel Dorn, Claire Phillips, Zachary Taylor, Alex Sanvitali, and then Martin Nixon, Val Mosco, Kyle Craven, the Vision Motorsports cars of Skep Silver and Ryan Little, and then Travis Crampton and Russell Blaze holding on by 5/1000ths of a second to make it into our final round here for tonight. And as for 13th on down, they're definitely going to have to get situated in their starting positions here for tonight's race. But as for the top 12, Davis, Dorn, Phillips, Taylor, Sanvitali, Nixon, Moscow, Craven, Silver, Little, Crampton, and Blaze, they will all be fighting for the pole, and they don't get 10 minutes anymore. They now are on the clock. 5 minutes to decide who will win the pole for tonight's Tropicana 400. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back with our 5-minute final round from here in Chicagoland. Ladies and gentlemen, this is it. We are getting ready. We are absolutely getting ready for our final round here. This time, 5 minutes to decide it all. And how about this development? Within the first 20 seconds, nobody came out onto the racetrack. Now you got Rogel Dorn, Moscow, Martin Nixon, they're on. Sanvitali is on. Claire Phillips, Craven, Blaze, Skep Silver, Zachary Taylor. Who will be the first to break out and take advantage of the cooler track conditions and the more grip that we're going to see here in this final round? Looks like Skep Silver is going to be the first one to go. And this is going to be very interesting with now 5 minutes to this final round. This is going to be very interesting because now everybody is going to be tight on time to try to see if they can win the pole for tonight's race from here at Chicagoland. And here we go. Skep Silver officially on the clock. Couple more cars coming out. Val Moscow, San Vitale. Also have Russell Blaze and Rogel Dorn. They're coming out. And here comes the 61, Travis Crampton. Zachary Taylor is now peeling off. He'll join everybody on the racing surface, as will Claire Phillips. To start us off in our final round, 3 minutes to go. Skep Silver, 29.454. So that's 0.3 faster than what we saw in the early stages of our first and second rounds combined. So the time's definitely much, much faster. And they will be. We might see these drivers get close to the 28-second bracket. $29.216 there for Skep Silver. Now he's pulling up to the back bumper of Claire Phillips in the 5. There goes Ryan Davis out on the racetrack. Now you see the other times filing in. A 3:62 for San Vitale, 4:29 for Rogel Dorn, 4:47 for Russell Blaze. But those times are only going to get better by the next lap. 29.137, fastest time that we've seen all day. San Vitale, a 29.078 for the 69 machine. I don't know what they did to this car, but they unloaded bad fast. They were fast in round 1. They were fast enough in round 2 to get into the show for our final round. And here we go for our last round of the day. Ooh, Skep Silver. Now 29.008 for San Vitale. Very close to that 28-second bracket. Now with 1 minute remaining. A 0.56 for Silver. A 0.58 for Zachary Taylor. Martin Nixon with a 0.56, tying Skep Silver, but breaking that tie by just a few millionths of a second. Drafting off of the 33 of Val Moscow. There's Blaze, 10th quickest right now with a 183. Ryan Davis with a 0.38. Just barely catching a whiff off of Silver's car. Claire Phillips looks like she'll be starting 7th here for this event, but either way, a top 10 starting position would be very beneficial for her here today. "30 seconds have been added. That way these drivers have enough time to put down one more good lap. But I think it's not going to be enough to dethrone the 69 of Alex San Vitale. They unloaded that car, and they have been bad fast ever since. And ladies and gentlemen, it is official. Alex San Vitale will lead the field to the green flag alongside Ryan Davis. Row 2 will see Martin Nixon and Skep Silver. Row 3, Zachary Taylor and Val Moscow. Claire Phillips and Ryan Little will make up the 4th row. And then completing your top 10, that will be Rogel Dorn and Russell Blaze. And then row 6, we'll see Travis Crampton and Kyle Craven. All inside of the top 12. But how about this for Alex San Vitale? A very fast time. Definitely took advantage of the cloud cover and took advantage of that very, very much needed and added grip. So that way Sam Vitale can break in and get that pole position and almost get into that 28-second bracket. Came very, very close. Just missed out by at least 9 1/1000ths of a second. He would have pulled off a 28.999 if that would have been the case. But regardless of that, Alexandre Vitale, he wins the pole for tonight's Tropicana 400, and he will be leading the field of the green flag alongside Ryan Davis. And this definitely is going to be the format that we'll be using from here on out, with tracks above 1 mile, road courses added in with the 2-round format. But regardless of that, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a very fantastic qualifying session from here at the Chicagoland Speedway. And we'll be back at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time live on Twitch for the 12th race of the NOS Energy Cup Series season, the Tropicana 400. If you guys like what you see, be sure to hit the like button and be sure to consider subscribing in order to keep up with all the WRLA content coming out throughout the 2026 season. And have yourselves a great day, everybody, and we will see you all at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time from here at Chicagoland live on Twitch.
This WRLA telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or reused without any authorized written consent of 11 Broadcasting. WRLA would like to thank all of our loyal fans for their continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.